Alright y'all, today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to take apart a figure using just water, basically. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use an X-Acto knife. I'm going to cut the belt off, because we do not need the belt. Alright, now that we have the belt off, we need to pop his head off. Now with the Hasbro figures, sometimes you can simply just put your thumb under the chin and pull back. I don't recommend going this way. I recommend going back, honestly. I have broken it going that way before. But what I always do if they are tight, because recently all the newer figures, they seem to fit a lot tighter than the original Blue Line figures. So basically, you can use boiling water, but I just use hot water under the tap. Literally just stick it under there for about 15 seconds. What that does is it's going to heat up the plastic. And it pops right off. Simple as that. So from there we can take this off, and I can pull his robe off because I don't need that. And now what I'm going to do from here is pop his shoulders out. So the same method, hot water, and for the shoulders and arms you want to put it under there for more than 10-15 seconds. You really want to get it hot. But then we should, with a little force, I got his forearm off, so that's good. So need a little more hot water since it's a little tight, so I'm going to heat it up just a little bit more. So we got those to pop off really nice and clean. Didn't hurt or harm any of the joint, so that's what we want. We want to keep that intact. And then for the figure, I'm actually making Prince Shizor. So for typically what I do is I take my Dremel and I sand that down. If I'm gonna paint the joints or paint the figure, you want to take your Dremel and sand that down both sides. That way, when you articulate him, you don't get paint rub. So basically, you sand that down, paint it, and then once you paint it, you can take a little super glue, the kind with a little brush tip, and just swab it over there with a very, very light coat. Once you do that, then let it dry, and then you'll have a nice joint free of paint rub. But for what I'm doing, I just need to dismantle the arms because I'm going to insert these into the torso that Jason enlarged for me for this project. So now that I've got the arms done, I need to get his torso removed from his legs because I don't need the torso, I'm not using it, but I'll keep it for maybe another project down the road. So what I'm going to do again, get a little hot water, just run it under there, and then angle it. Make sure you get that hot water down in there to really heat up the plastic. Just like that, pops right off. So don't need the skirt, I'll keep that as fodder. And now I've got my arms, or I guess my base, and my legs. So I'm gonna put these back together, and then I'll go from the next step showing you how to insert them into the torso. And what I'm gonna do is sand this down so that I can fit it into the lower torso. So stay tuned. Alrighty, so for the next part, I recommend doing this outside, in the garage. Otherwise your wife's going to kill you because you're going to make a mess, or vice versa, your husband's going to kill you because you're going to make a mess. So here is the Prince, I can't say his name right now, Prince Shizor torso. And what we're going to do is we're going to dremel essentially up inside here, and then I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and then I'm going to insert it up into that, so that we'll have our legs, and then we'll use Abe's epoxy to hold that in place. Likewise, for the arms, they're not fully dremeled out, but that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to dremel in, and then we'll be able to insert these, and then again I'll use Abe's epoxy right on here. You don't want to get it on your joint, because then when it dries you won't be able to articulate it, but you want to be able to get it right in there, insert it. And honestly, depending on how you dremel, you may be able to dremel to where you can just pop this in and not have to use Abe's at all. But we'll see how it goes. So what I'm going to do first is dremel here, here, and here, so that we can insert these arms and legs. Now I always recommend using a mask. You don't have to, but otherwise you're going to be breathing in a lot of dust, so you can just get these at Walmart, really simple to use. For my heavy duty dremeling jobs, I use my my corded dremel, my Dremel 200i it looks like, or 200. I love this bad boy. It's got a slow speed and a high speed. I use this for doing dismantling jobs, and likewise for doing what I'm doing here, because I don't have to worry about the batteries. When I'm doing fine tooth sanding inside, I'll use my corded, or cordless, excuse me, because that one I usually run it on a really low speed because I'm doing really meticulous sanding. But for here, we're just making big ass holes, so I'm gonna use that. Now I use this set of diamond tip dremels. You can get them from Amazon. I think it was like $6 if you're a Prime member. It's free shipping, but it's got essentially every head that you could possibly want. You've got flat heads, rounded heads, fine heads, circular heads. I like these because they're pointed. So yeah, this is what we're going to use to dremel in the holes. So I'm going to go ahead and find the one I want, and then I'll let you all know which one I use, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I went ahead and went with this, I'm going to get it in focus, this tip for the shoulders there, and it turned out pretty well. So I just made a big ass hole, and then you want to blow it out, or use canned keyboard air, that way you don't have to get all that dust in your face. But essentially it looks good. So we're going to stick it in. We've got articulation up, and then of course it's not going to have much articulation from front to back, but that's not a big deal because that's what the forearm's for. So we'll be able to bend this forearm into place how we want it there, and we'll be able to go up and down. So but what I'm going to do now is go ahead and do the other side just like I did this side, and then we will go ahead and do the bottom, the base. But yeah, essentially that's what it looks like. So and then what I'll do is, since I may have gone a little bit too deep, but that's fine, I'll use Abe's epoxy and I'll just shove it down in there, and then I'll put his forearm, once I shove it in there, I'll literally get the forearm wet with water, shove it down in there for like 5 seconds, move it around just a little bit, and then pull it out. And what that's going to do is it's going to make a nice little mold, per se, inside the shoulder socket, and then I'll let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow when I stick it in, it'll go in nice and tight, and there won't be a lot of play to it, and it won't come out quite as easily. So yeah, but that's it. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead and do this side and the bottom. So now that the shoulders are done, I'm going to go ahead and do the waist. Now for this, for cutting through the Hasbro plastic, I always use this heavy duty. This literally just chews through it like butter. So I'm going to go ahead and just gnaw that down, and then take this down to about right there, and then we'll see how that fits up with my torso, height wise, and I'll find the right, I guess, height that I want, and then I'll dremel this out and insert it right up in there. So I'm going to go ahead and shoe this down, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so now that I've got that dremeled out, I sanded this down, inserts into there nicely. So what I'll do is, here's the arms, and take those out for now. What I'm going to do from here is, see how it doesn't match up. So what I'll do first is put aves on here, put some aves in there, squish it together, let it dry overnight, and then once it's dried and stuck and sealed, then I'll add more aves and fill this in, and essentially I'll widen this out, his waist here, and so that it'll be symmetrical and even all the way down. And that's it. So this is how you, I guess, dismantle a figure using water, and then also how you dremel out a torso and essentially use an existing figure for a base. So now it's time to go inside and put some aves on this bad boy and get him starting to dry.